Alpha 1 to Alpha 2, yes I'm receiving. ETA 1 minute, roger that.
Now approaching Lily Club.
From this point on, the operation is live. Checking the door, he's in, you're in. He's not volunteered it yet. Now he has. Hi, my name's Phil Moulton. I'm here to talk about my journey. Through my book, which I wrote, took 10 years to write. So I'm 60 years of age and I was brought up in Moulton, Manchester. From this point on, as soon as someone comes into the room, the operation is live. So that's it. It goes live from now. Okay, so every time our VIP moves, we have to move. Going back into all the years, I used to think to myself, all these people are paying thousands of pounds to go onto a course and they're getting no work. And I've got to say, it used to be infuriating because I was one of those people who paid an awful lot of money going through a married life and struggling to pay for courses with no work at the end of it. And that's why I decided to write the course that I wrote back in, it was 1999 when I wrote it. So before we move off site, I want all vehicles to be searched, all areas to be searched where we're doing our walkthrough. So maybe we need to find out from our principal where she's going to be walking around, if she wants to walk up to the top, if she wants to walk up to the country lane. But everything that we do has to be planned. Before she moves, we search. Before we travel, we search. Before we do all those, we do the walking formations and get the formations in place. Finish your cup of tea, and when we go, it is 20 past 11. By 11:30, we're going. Every time she twitches, we've got to make sure that everything's boxed off. So we are now live as an operation. So we've got 3 categories, and I've categorised this as a category 2, a medium category. Any threat needs to be taken seriously. Okay, so on this particular one, we've got Cat 2. Cat 1 is critical and severe. Cat 2 is severe and high. Okay, and then Cat 3 is basically high, I've got an interest of something. But every time that you've got a threat or you've received a threat, we must take that threat seriously. It's down to us to categorise it with the information that we get from the principal. Okay, and we can only get that information from the principal. Remember, if our VIP is being stalked or there's criminal activity, we may be asked as a court of law to go and give evidence. Our main priority is to make sure that's safe and doing it lawfully as well. Bad guys can carry weapons, we can't, so we have to put the procedures in place. So this is a high risk. It's not a medium, it's a high risk because it's still category 2. We got the course accredited in 2000 and it was accredited by the GMOCN, which is the National Open College Network. And from that point on, my company was then formed, Exclusafe. And then we started to teach people. The training courses got larger and larger. We got more recognition. As you can see, I brought a little wall over there with things that I've done. Okay, so today is going to be the finalisation of a course. We've got 2 students on. They're going to be completing an operation which has been put into place over the last 14-15 days. They have to complete 150 hours of direct training. And that training is both theory and practical. So they are now going to do an operational plan, put that plan into place and secure an actual VIP throughout. Okay, so you contacted us for basically the protection of yourself because you've received some threats. Can you explain what your threats are? How do you feel?
On edge all the time.
Okay. Do you know the person who's made the threats?
My ex-partner.
Okay, so what we're actually doing when we're profiling a person, what we're trying to establish is that the principal has actually contacted us because there's a threat. Now, it's not always the way. It may be because of their image, it may be because of the status. Okay, so we built in a scenario where, and it is a scenario, someone is acting. So we have to build in and we have to extract that information, because what we want to try and do is establish who's making the threats, and eventually that case might even go to court, because you're building up a court case because it's a criminal activity, stalking a person. So it's getting that information from you so we can actually compile a risk assessment and a threat assessment. So there's two elements here. There's a threat assessment, which we need to know what the threat is to you, and the risk assessment is what we're working on to make sure that everyone's safe around us. So the aim of the 7 Ps is basically to get as much information out of the VIP as possible. You're not going to get everything. We're going to be looking at the public side, but also we're going to be looking at the private side. People won't divulge information until they build up that trust. So we have to build up the trust with the VIP to make sure that they feel comfortable and they can share information which is quite sensitive sometimes as well, about private family life, about their own private family life as well. Okay, so
I'm John Cordinley. My experience over 40 years is in aviation security and counter-terrorism. I'm here today to help Phil with an awareness session on weapons, particularly explosive devices and contingencies for those kind of events. So the situational awareness about these things is to try and mitigate those kind of threats. Things typically, from our experience in aviation, about Richard Reed, the shoe bomber, so disguised devices, weapons. This one's an under-vehicle device used by Republican terrorists that would be kind of a limpet magnetic device underneath a car. So those are the types of things that we've been going through today to provide an awareness to bodyguards or close protection operatives. Okay,
so what we've got here now, we've got the lads who are doing the recce. They've already done one recce to the location. So they're leaving Linnet Clough and they're going to be actually going over to the next location. To make things a bit more secure, we colour code things. So we'll have red 1 and then red 2. Red 1 is actually the location where we're leaving. Red 2 is where we're going to be arriving to. So giving them code names, it's basically giving some added security, making sure that people don't know where we're travelling to and from. Each one of these will be timed and its distance. So this particular map is about 2 miles. So we're going to split it into 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. On the route, what they'll be looking for will be vulnerable points, choke points, any areas which will raise concerns. The biggest concern we've got on this route at the moment is parked vehicles, because it's very narrow. Oncoming traffic, because you're going to have to let vehicles coming through, because we'll have 2 vehicles. The ambush areas will be predominantly where we're leaving site or we're arriving the site too. When they're setting the recce up, what they should be looking for will be the M-bus and D-bus point, which is in effect the drop-off and pick-up point. Everything has to be timed to make sure that everyone knows where everyone is all the way through the route. It doesn't matter what shape or size you are or sex. It's what's in your heart that you can do it. And close protection or bodyguards are actually overcoming bullies. All the people I've guarded over the years are basically because they've been bullied by one way or another, whether it's because of their image, because of their status. That's what we do as close protection people, or bodyguards, if you want to call us that. So getting into the bodyguard arena was quite difficult. A lot of people say no, and there was one person who I still keep in contact with. I'd love to mention his name, I don't know if I could. But he gave me a leg up and he said, yeah, I'll give you a chance. And we went from there. And things started to escalate. People actually saw me work, and they didn't just judge me because I was a civilian. They actually looked at the way I worked, how pragmatic I was, how thorough I was, and basically how in depth I did all the training and all the work as a lone protection officer, not having a big team. For this operation now, we've got the VIPs due to arrive. We've got Sal, we've got Phil, and we've got Alicia. So the plan will be to secure the area for the VIP. So we're going to be using Sal, who's going to be covering that main area there. Okay, so Sal's going to wave the VIP on. He's not going to make a big arm movement. She's expecting to see somebody at the gate. So Sal is going to be positioned there. Phil is going to be positioned in this location here, and he's going to be directing the VIP to park up. So before Alicia makes her way down this pathway, Phil's going to push down here. Sal is going to be here. So now Phil will be pushing down there, and he's going to be waiting where the hedge line is. So he's covering off that blind spot to make sure that that blind spot's actually covered. And he's going to give us a thumbs up to make sure that we're safe to come in. If we get compromised on that, we've got to have a plan B. We could actually debug them back into the vehicle and remove them out off the site, or we could go into a secured location. Today we've got our operation where you're going to be protected. We're going to go into Marple Bridge. We're going to be doing some little wall rounds as well, so if you won't mind throwing a couple of spanners in the works, maybe stopping and starting, going off and maybe just compromising them, even just taking a phone call. It's just to make them think out of the box a little bit. Test them as much as you can. Work off your improvisation as much as you can, just go for it. And even if we say, right, we're going to go here, even if we're not planned. So how are you feeling?
I'm excited.
Okay.
I want to...
You might mix it up a bit?
Yeah.
Okay, which is good, and that's what we need, because part of what we've got to try and do is be flexible, not rigid, make sure that you feel comfortable at all times. Anytime you can stop and say, I like to do this, I want to do that. They've got to form that comfort blanket around you, not you around them. So we've got to work around your requirements rather than vice versa. And Alicia is going to be your personal bodyguard. If we do get a compromise, which we will do, also what you to do is go with the flow. Don't panic about it. No one's going to get hurt. Obviously, we have to compromise it to test them, to see how good they react to it. But thank you for doing this. And it takes an actress to pull this off. So at the end of it, all I want you to do is relax, enjoy it, but throw as many spanners in the works as you can. If you're going to do something major, just pull me to one side, say, can we do this film? I want to go here where we have to travel. How do you feel? Are you happy?
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, you're excited. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, let's see if you're smiling at the end of it. My journey is outlining how I overcome the bullies from a very, very young age. At the age of 10, I started karate. And karate was my discipline, my path, and it gave me the focus to actually achieve so many things in my life. And one of the biggest things I always wanted to achieve was to become a black belt. And it took a long time to get the confidence to do that. Coming from a single parent, it's quite difficult, as it outlines in the book. And we went through a lot of obstacles. And one of the biggest obstacles that I actually come through was being bullied. And that's probably because of the lack of status. Didn't have a father at that moment in time. And it was just me and my mum. So picked on, had several good hidings, as we say. And then I found karate, and I found karate through a book, strangely enough, back in 1970, and I started learning from this book how to do karate, put my feet there, and then basically how I decided then I wanted to do karate. I didn't have the funds at that time, so basically I had to learn how to do things from the book. I developed my own striking boards, which was a piece of plywood nailed to a fence, and I used to hit that, stretching, so I used to stretch every day. Kicking a bag. So basically I trained myself until I found a karate class. Coming from a single parent at that time, there wasn't a great deal of money coming around, so what I had to do was find a way of doing it, and one of the biggest ways that I learned was working for my lessons. Hated school with a passion, never went to school, and it was my karate instructors who actually said to me, well, if you don't go to school, we're going to stop you from doing karate. So we're on this floor now, which is a nice wooden floor, and it does actually bring back memories to the floor that we used to train on. So we'd have to clean the floor and strip the varnish off to get the lessons. And that gave me the discipline, and it gave me some type of focus, because it would have been so easy for me to slip off the other side and gone the wrong way. So karate has basically given me this discipline where I am now. The aim, to be a black belt. In 1982, after a lot of people saying, you'll never get it, and even some of the people who were close friends saying, you'll never get it, out of a group of people, I was probably one of the highest grades in that group of gaining the black belt back in 1982. To me, I thought the world would open when I got my black belt, but that's when it started to evolve. I started to learn really about the martial arts and about karate. So that that focus I had come from a discipline, and I've competed at every single level. Before I was a black belt, I was competing on the SKU England squad. That's from 80 to 84, and that was under Stan Knighton, who was a massive fella, not just in size, but a huge presence, lots of respect for him. Roy Stanhope, who was head of the SKU, he was a dynamic person, and we had a lot of respect for him because he had so much charisma, fantastic karateka. And so it was trying to be aspired to these people where you could think, wow, one day I'd love to be like Roy Stanhope as a fifth dan, or Stan Knighton as a fifth dan. And 50 years on, 2013, I become an eighth dan. So in between that journey, I've done so many things through my karate journey, shall we say. In 1996, I won the World Open All Styles Karate Championship. And that was a lot of people saying, oh, you'll never achieve anything. So for me to achieve that was quite a coup, really. European Championships, fought in America, fought all around the world, really, doing kumite, kata. But the more important thing, what I've enjoyed through my career, will be teaching people who were bullied. As I say, the book is about me being bullied. So when people said Phil Moulton, the bodyguard, it's not just about a person who's become a bodyguard, and I have done the job, it's all verified, etc. But it's how I've come from nothing, I suffered the bullies, and then gone from there. Not proving the bullies wrong, but proving them that I can do it myself. It's inspiring people to say, people can say, no, you can't do it, but you've got to believe in yourself. When you go on a mat and you're competing against people that you've never met before, and to switch on and switch off and compete and fight, and because that's basically what you're doing, you're fighting a person that you don't even know. So it's competing at that, but you've got to have that tunnel vision and that focus, and that focus has come from the discipline of martial arts. For somebody who was constantly being told, you'll never achieve anything, to something like me, where I've actually achieved so many things in my life. So the martial arts has led me to where I am as a close protection person or a bodyguard. Okay, so the plan today will be, obviously we've just had a brief undertaking of what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be doing a couple of walk rounds. The walking formations are vitally important. Before we move off site, the vehicle has to be searched. So before we touch the door, we're looking at the door handle, making sure the door handle has not been compromised. I'm going to do it quick so we can get out and get this operation done. So we're checking on here, checking on there, looking for anything that doesn't sit right. Again, remember, doesn't sit right. People need time and opportunity to plant something. So we're now going to crack the door. So you're going to be my eyes. Let's see. I can't see anything behind the door handles. It doesn't look as though it's been compromised. It doesn't look as though it's been tampered with. I can't see any wires around here. Can't see any flashing lights. I can't see anything unnormal. Okay, so you're not putting your weight on it, you're not leaning on it. All you're doing is you're putting your knee to it, you're putting your hand in, and you're putting your hand on there, so you're not pressurizing it. You're taking the weight, still final check. For somebody to put something as integral as intricate into there is going to take an awful lot of time. Okay, but still check. Boom. Now we're basically committed. Pop the door to there. You don't put your fingers in. All you're doing is you're taking the weight. What you would be looking for as an op, you're looking to make sure that you can see daylight without any obstructions like wires, anything bleeping. Somebody could put something in their remote control, set it off, and you're done. Okay, this is just an exercise to get used to doing good practice. Interior lights have come on. What is an interior light? It's a power source. That could have initiated an IED. So somebody puts an ID inside there. Why is it up to the interior light? You open the door, that initiates a circuit, that completes a circuit which sets off the IED. So your thing is to control the extremities to make sure that we don't get compromised, and you will get compromised. Okay? You're going to secure this location. Okay? Scrub up, we're done. getting here, aren't you? Hey? People in the UK cannot carry any type of weapon. These can, bad folk can. So we've got to think, right, what can we do? If he's got a blade, he's not volunteered it yet. There, this man. So he's going to use that shoulder to go forward. Now he has. Okay. What would your reactions be? Afterwards, just push forward, make sure you clear the back. You've got a couple of vehicles on. So what we're actually doing now, we've got a lead car in front of us. We've got the team leader and the security team in front of us. They're clearing the route for us and basically giving us clearance. So all the way through the route, we would have checkpoints to make sure that those checkpoints are cleared. We also have what we call vulnerable points. So each vulnerable point is like this place, which is a choke point where we could get T-barred or we could get compromised. We've got a compromise here, we've got a motorcyclist coming down here.
Slowing down, pushing forwards.
Received.
So on the routes, each route would be colour coded, it would be timed, and basically every stage of the way we would know where we would be without giving the location away too much. So basically what we've done, we've pulled up at the vehicle, we're going to be doing a D-bus. Alicia, who's a bodyguard, she's going to be getting a VIP out. In normal reactions, we would have one of the VIP protection team at the front, one at the back and one on the roadside. Well, they won't be on the roadside, they'll be basically as secured as possible to make sure that the integrity of the back is secured. Okay, so Alicia would get the VIP out and we would have people in place already, and then from there we would just do the walking drill. So that's what we're aiming for. And then as we walk in, we just walk in as a triangle. Okay, and Phil, you cover there. And then we walk on. The final exercise was today. We had Friday, Saturday and Sunday, the big build-up. Saturday was basically just getting embedded in so they understood what they were doing. And Sunday was the final operation. So we had Summer, who's been played by Ionica, who's gladly given her time up to play the wonderful actress. And it's basically put a lot of pressure on the students, so they've had to really look after a VIP. Now remember, this is a close protection course where people are building towards a level. Okay, so they've had a scenario to work to and now they've got a VIP. So Ionica, thank you very much. How did you enjoy the course?
It just really interesting. I do this as a job and I do get to go to film premieres, and it's really interesting to see actually how much training that they have to do in order to work on events like that. And it's just insane, the amount of work and just how much they have to think about. I mean, just the smallest things. And just as an actor as well, it's nice to do something like this because I do a lot of commercial work, so it's different to what I normally do.
It's a little bit off the wall. Obviously you were working off a scenario, and because you're working to a course and they've got to look basically to protect life. So Ionica's actress or person who she was acting as had a threat. So basically they had to build a whole operation, a story around you and make it work. But thank you so much, and hopefully one day I'll present you at a film premiere rather than something like this when you get more and more famous than you already are. We've probably trained nearly 3,000 people in close protection, personal safety, etc. So I'm quite proud of that. From somebody who was told you're never going to achieve anything, the karate aspect of it has brought me into a different arena. I'd probably say I'm quite well respected as an operator, as an instructor as well, even though I don't have a mass amount of students, I do have a good following where people are respected me and people come all the way around the world. We have people coming from Spain just to come on my course, which I was very honoured about. People have come from other places as well. We've trained people in India, etc. How to do close protection. So from coming from nothing, the karate has given me this, becoming a world champion. People say, you're a world champion. And when you actually say that, you can see the disbelief on them. And when you say you're an 8th dan, what's an 8th dan? Well, I'm 8 times higher than a black belt. I took my 8th dan in 2013. I have to wait 9 years before I become a 9th dan. What do you have to do for that? You still have to continue to train. I still train every day. I still stretch every day and I still do pad work. So you're keeping your skill set up. But the close protection stuff that we're doing at this moment in time on this course has been developed from actually doing on-the-job work, working with people like Whitney Houston, Pele, Cantona, David Beckham. All these people have been secured in one way or another by myself. So I'm very proud of what I've done. And going back to the people who said you'll never do it, I'm just proud of how I've achieved what I've done. And that's where we are. So the book and the documentary and the filming that we're doing is outlining this, and when you read it and some of the people that I've actually protected, you think this lad from Langley who amounted to nothing at the moment in time and used to walk around with bin liners on his feet because his shoes used to leak, has actually come to this, and he's actually protected some of the highest profile people in the world. And that's where we're at. So the course gives me a lot of satisfaction in a number of ways where I can see people progress up the ladder. I'm giving these people an opportunity to get what I never had. Because no one said to me, Phil, I'm going to write this course, I'm going to help you through it, you're going to do the course, and I'll even help you. You know, I'll hold your hand throughout the course, but you'll learn the course and you will come out this course a qualified person. I'm very passionate about making sure it's done properly. I mean, we've got 2 students today. I've trained 1 student, and that's unheard of. But because I've been down that area where people didn't have faith in you, I'll put my time into them. Now, it's down to them once they leave the door and they've passed and they've got the license to do whatever they need to do. But it's having that progression to say, I've helped these people.
Doing and witnessing this course has certainly changed my perception of what's going on. I think sometimes we can walk around in a bit of a bubble and just be like, oh, yeah, going out for a day out shopping in a city or in a little town or whatever. And doing something like this, you just the really small things that you never think of could be life-threatening situations, and it really makes you think that, gosh, actually just be a bit more careful in situations. And that we had a guy come in and talk about the weapons and how people hide them, and it's just absolutely crazy, and it makes you go, gosh, right, let's be a bit more careful.